Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's broadcast. Great to have everyone here. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for me so you can get notified of future live streams. So we do have the new 8 p.m. advisory that has come out that we'll be talking about and really talking about how Hurricane Milton is going to impact the United States this week and kind of what we have. So here is the 8 p.m. advisory that we can see that the National Hurricane Center just released. So it still has Category 1 strength right now. Winds up to 85 miles per hour. Pressure, though, has dropped. Pressure is down to 981 millibars. And it is now also, this is important because we talked about this earlier this evening, it is now moving off to the east. We were seeing it moving kind of to the east-southeast earlier, but now it is moving directly to the east at about 7 miles per hour. So just a quick recap for everyone that's just joining us. Hurricane Milton, 8 p.m. advisory is out. You can see it right here on my screen. Be sure to hit that like button for me. Go ahead and like this video. That kind of lets people know that we're live. Also, you can hit that share button and just send it out to your friends, whether that's in a text or to your Facebook page or whatever. You can share this video so they can get the same information, especially if you know someone that is in Florida. Definitely share this video directly with them because that is obviously one of the main impact regions that we're going to be seeing here with Milton. But it won't just be Florida. We'll also feel coastal impacts all up the East Coast this week, and even as it kind of moving here across the Texas coast, we could see some rough surf here tomorrow there as well. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. That'll allow you to join our live chat here on the YouTube stream. We would love to have you guys hop in there, engage with each other. Drop a question in there. I love answering your guys' questions here on the live chat, so you can definitely do all of those things as well. So I'm going to give it just a few minutes here. Let some folks kind of come in here. Go ahead, keep sharing that video out there for me, guys. And we'll kind of dive here into the latest here with Hurricane Milton. And we can see here, this is the latest satellite imagery, and we are starting to see that rapid intensification really take place. You're starting to see some of these deeper convective bands forming. We've had almost like a little bit of a, like it's trying to develop, it kind of almost has like a little pinhole eye now that we're seeing here on the radar. And I'm going to kind of go here, if I can do, let's do sub-regional. We can get a little bit of a closer view here of this, yeah. So you see this right on this last frame. Right in here, it basically is starting to develop that eye structure. And it's basically been kind of going through those like eye wall replacements that we've talked about here. So really fascinating stuff. It was kind of drifting off to the east-southeast earlier, but now we've seen that stop moving off to south, and it is really just moving off to the due east, like the National Hurricane Center here said, at about 7 miles per hour. Still 85 mile per hour winds. We are going to still see this intensify rather quickly into a major hurricane, possibly as early as tomorrow. That's definitely not out of the question here. But let us know, folks, where you guys are watching from by leaving a comment on the live stream there. You can use that chat. So again, if you're not subscribed, just click that subscribe button. It literally takes you just a second to do that, and then you can join us on the live stream, and I can see your guys' comments right here on the camera and be able to answer those questions and discuss that. So let's kind of come back here because we'll be live here probably for about the next hour or so, kind of breaking down this 8 p.m. advisory, looking at all of the things. But I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity here to get to ask their questions, and I'll do my best to answer those as they come through. So let me refresh this here because we've got some new graphics coming in. So first of all here, we can see pressure again, 981 millibars. Maximum winds right now going out about, those hurricane force winds are going at about 15 nautical miles. The hurricane force wind, 64 knot wind, we can see again right now primarily on the southern side of the storms where we've seen a lot of that. Here's the latest forecast track from the National Hurricane Center themselves. So still expecting a landfall probably Wednesday afternoon is what it's looking like. Right now, as of latest thinking, is for, you can see the center of the storm to come in just south of Tampa Bay, which is definitely good news for the folks in the Tampa Bay region. If this were to shift north, and there is still definitely the potential for it to do that, that would be a much worse situation for the Tampa Bay area, putting it on the right side of the storm and really pushing all of that water over toward Tampa Bay and that region. With this kind of a track, Punta Gorda, Florida area and Fort Myers really would be some of the harder hit areas, being on the right side of the storm of it coming in, bringing in that southwesterly to southerly flow there, kind of counterclockwise around the hurricane on Wednesday. And then quickly moving across the state, we can see by Thursday, 1 p.m. Thursday, just 24 hours later, this is well out to sea. So kind of coming back here, I want to take a look here at the satellite. I want to show you a couple things on the satellite that we were seeing. We're going to start looking here at the water vapor imagery. So we can see this big burst of convection here on the southern side of the storm that we had. And now we've got another burst of convection here on the northern side as well. But let's kind of look out here. We can see here, so this yellow area here that you see, this is dry air up here. We also some dry air over Mexico. This is kind of what is that front that's really kind of keeping keeping Milton moving off to the east here and really going to prevent it from moving north at all, taking any similar track like we saw with Helene coming up into the Panhandle and then across Georgia. So that is one piece of good news, is we don't see it taking that kind of a track. Looking at the latest models here, we can see a lot of them kind of moving it off to the east and then sliding it off to the northeast. And this is something that has changed too. And I think there is, this is new data that's kind of coming in here, is we are seeing a few more models that are bringing it now north of Tampa, I'm noticing. And you'll even see a few of these kind of bringing it up toward Jacksonville and then out to sea. So that is definitely going to be something we are going to have to keep an eye on. But another thing to note is the intensity of the storm. We are expecting it to get up to 145 mile per hour storm here by about 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And then 1 a.m. Wednesday and 1 p.m. Wednesday, we are expecting it to slightly weaken as it approaches the coast, which is good news, and be making landfall. Right now, National Hurricane Center is saying landfall as a Category 3 storm on Wednesday. But there is the potential that while it is here over the open waters of the Gulf, we will likely see this reach Category 4 potential. And the potential for it to even reach Category 5 is really close. I mean, they're already forecasting 145 here by Tuesday afternoon. Could it reach up to Category 5 sometime in the day on Tuesday? I would say yes, that's not out of the question. And this is again what we're seeing. We've got, you can see here, based on this intensity guidance chart, we do have a few models, not a ton, but there are a few that actually do bring it up to that Category 5 status here really by Tuesday. A lot of them, though, look how many, the cluster tightness here of Category 4. So that's why we think there's a really good chance that it is likely going to get up at least to Category 4 intensity. But there can't rule out the chance of it briefly reaching Category 5 before you can see here by about 72 hours. That's when we're really going to start seeing that weakening trend on approach to the Florida Peninsula on Wednesday. Now, how quickly does it weaken? How much wind shear do we get? That is still yet to be determined. But the thinking is that there will be some, at least slight weakening, and any weakening is good news for our friends in Florida. If you're just joining the live stream, thank you so much for joining. My name is Joe. I'm the meteorologist here at Extreme Weather Videos, here to bring you these updates, and we're just going to continue coming out with these updates here. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me, and like this video, share it out with your friends that are in Florida so they can get this information. All right, let's kind of step through some of the latest model information that we're seeing, and then we'll kind of take your guys' questions. Let me check in the chat here, see if we've got anything that's come in yet. Doesn't look like it. I'm just gonna drop a message here for you guys, just to make sure. Okay, awesome. So yeah, you guys can just drop your messages right there or questions right there in the chat, and I'll see those come through and be glad to answer them for you. All right, so let's take a look here. So these are the 18Z models that are coming out, and we're just going to go right down the list, kind of like we've done. Here, let's take a look at the HWRF model for Hurricane Milton and see what the latest and greatest on this is. So again, rapid intensification expected. There it is, just north offshore of the Yucatan Peninsula on Monday. And then by Tuesday, another round, hanging around the 930 mark. And then when we see it get back up closer to 940. And then here it is on Wednesday, making landfall here again. H-Wharf bringing it. This one I feel like is one of the further north models of the hurricane models, is the H-Wharf. Definitely brings it up closer to the Big Bend region, which would be absolutely disastrous for that area that obviously just went through Helene. The H-Mon. The H-Mon gets it even stronger, gets it down into the 920s, we can see here on Tuesday. Takes it all the way down here, 923. Looks like about 921, 915, wow. So H-Mon's really kind of come up here on this latest run, getting it down to about 915 millibars on Tuesday, and then Wednesday here it comes. And we can see here again the H-Mon is weakening it due to that wind shear on approach. And really, again, a north of Tampa landfall with the H-Mon. The HAFS A model, and we've liked the HAFS A and HAFS B model this year. I feel like they've been pretty accurate thus far this season. So HAFS A model, we can see here, again, gets it down into the 920s, so definitely Category 4, potentially Category 5 status. And then we start to see it weaken here on late Wednesday into Thursday. And this one, again, brings it just north of the Tampa Bay. But, again, all of these models are showing that weakening before landfall. We don't know how much. We don't know exactly what that's going to be, but I think if there's something encouraging to see here in all of these, even in the HAFS B model here, is that we are seeing basically at least have the 18Z runs, and this could change once we get the next 6Z run overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. It may again show a stronger hurricane coming in. Half speed model again just north of Tampa here, still a very strong hurricane on the half speed. GFS model, bringing it in. Now the GFS is one that we see here. It does keep it a little bit stronger than some of the other ones, but again, brings it in here just on the north side of Tampa. So all of these, if this does come in on the north side of Tampa, it is going to be rather disastrous for that region. The Euro pretty much is the one model that is actually bringing it in just pretty much right over the Tampa Bay region that we're seeing here. Is the European model. So that's kind of the latest there. Now let's take a look here at this here. Let me see if I can share this. Let me see if I can share my screen. Let me transition this here for you guys. So this here is the track that we can see here. And so we see it kind of gets up here to that category 4 status, and then they're showing it category 3 by landfall. And we can add, see here right now, it's at 71. And these are some of the ocean temperatures that we're seeing out there. So again, plenty of warm water that we can see here. Obviously right now where it's at, it's closer to that 30-degree Celsius mark. And still going to be 29 to 30 degree here. And it's kind of interesting to note here, you can see where this red color is here, which is the 30 degrees Celsius mark. Just offshore of Florida, we have that current 30-degree ocean temperatures. But the reason that we're expecting the weakening from here on Tuesday into Wednesday is not because of the ocean temperatures, because if you look and see, obviously the ocean temperatures look to be a better environment here as we get closer to shore, but we're expecting an increase in wind shear with Milton as it approaches the coast, because it's going to interact a little bit more with that frontal boundary that's kind of draped here across the northern Gulf of Mexico. So that is going to cause a little bit of problems here. So you can see here right now where it's at, not really a whole lot in the way of wind shear there, but here up further north we've got some stronger wind shear here over Florida, kind of coming out of the east. I mean, some of this deep layer shear, we're looking at up toward, right now, obviously up towards 60 knots. This will shift off to the north, but the point being that as it approaches Florida, there's a little bit more wind shear up in this region than there is currently where Milton is at and where it's tracking and staying in a more favorable environment for wind shear. But once it kind of makes that northeast turn on the north side of Yucatan Peninsula, it'll start interacting with this wind shear, and that is why we're seeing a little bit of that forecast for the weakening as it approaches Florida. Also, this is that dry air that I was talking about here, and this is going to be also kind of sliding off to the east. So obviously right now Milton not really interacting with any of this dry air, not really pulling any of it in. So those two factors, the wind shear and the dry air, could work against Milton as it approaches Florida. So it could kind of be the silver lining in all of this as we go from Tuesday into Wednesday. So that is the good news right now that we have, is that we are, yes, it is going to rapidly intensify here in the next day or two, but then we are going to, at least again, what we were just looking at with the models, what we're looking at here with the wind shear and with that area of dry air off to the north, all of those could put a little bit of a damper on the intensification of Milton as it makes landfall and moves across Florida Wednesday into Thursday. So we'll have to see how the timing of it. Another thing is going to be how fast does Milton move across Florida. It does look like it is going to be in an accelerated pace. As we go from Tuesday into Wednesday, that front kind of kicks it off there to the east. So I do think that is going to be, even if we do have a weaker storm, maybe a Category 3 and not a Category 4, you have to account for that forward speed of the storm moving across Florida, because if you have a 140 mile per hour tropical storm, let's say, making landfall, that's only moving at 4 to 7 miles per hour. That is one thing. But if you have 125 mile per hour, yes, it's a 15 mile per hour wind speed difference. But if it's moving across Florida at 20 miles per hour or 22 miles per hour or something like that, kind of like what we saw with Helene, how fast it moved, that forward speed really carries those hurricane force winds well inland. And that's why even places like Disney World and inland portions of the peninsula of Florida, I think we will see a lot of evacuations here, especially starting tomorrow, for portions inland in Florida, not just right along the coast. But I think tomorrow we'll really start to get an idea as far as the magnitude of the impacts of the wind shear, dry air. The negative thing is if it's not as much, we have warmer waters just offshore. Not a ton warmer, but enough that it would definitely be making a difference. If you're just joining the live stream, thanks for tuning in this evening again. We've been just taking a look here at the latest with Hurricane Milton here across the Gulf of Mexico. Really talking about some of the different impacts here in Florida and up the East Coast. The good news is I don't think we'll have widespread impacts up the East Coast. Looking at the forecast track, it does seem to be basically keeping it, even once it kind of crosses Florida, it does kind of curve it back out. Bermuda, though, will need to kind of keep an eye on this for later in the week. It will be approaching the Bermuda areas, likely as a post-tropical storm heading towards Bermuda on Friday. So, but all of that is still yet to be determined. I think the main thing is really seeing what happens tomorrow. I think tomorrow is going to be a very important day. How strong does it get? What does the dry air do here for Milton? How strong will that wind shear be? Will we see that shear back off at all from what we're seeing today? A lot can happen in the next 48 hours. But folks in Florida, you need to be preparing for really need to be preparing for a high-end Category 3 storm, potentially Category 4, definitely not out of the question there in Florida. So what does that look like? Well, a couple things. You need to make sure that you know your evacuation route, know what evacuation zone that you are in. If you are told to evacuate, you need to do so. So tonight, you need to be, making those preparations for if tomorrow folks start come issuing mandatory evacuation orders for your county, that okay, I'm in Hillsborough County and now we are under a mandatory evacuation order, right? Know your route options, 75 north, 19 north, different options. Know the back road options as well. Have your fuel planned out. Make sure you've got enough fuel to evacuate. So all of these different things. Have family or friends to contact. Be looking to get a hotel where you're going to be staying if you're not staying with family. So kind of making those preparations now, even this evening. Go ahead and planning on that. And I wouldn't, some people may be like, oh, well, can I just go down to Miami? No, don't go down to Miami, because that's, again, on the right side of the storm. There's still going to be significant impacts. Obviously, North Panhandle, looking pretty good, again, with what we were talking about with that front. So maybe getting over into the Panhandle or Southwest Georgia, those areas might be good areas to evacuate to. A lot of people I know will be thinking, oh, let's just evacuate inland, right, into Orlando or a place like that. That is typically how it goes, right, with this thing, with these storms. But you have to think of not only the storm surge, not only the winds do we have to think about, but we also need to be thinking about this, the rainfall potential, right? And we've got this stretch here of 8 to 12 inches of rain. Even here in Orlando, we're talking 6 to 8 inches. 6 to 8 inches on already saturated ground. So we're going to be seeing the potential for what? Flash flooding. You can see here in this red shaded area, right? Let me transition this for you guys. We can see here the potential for flash flooding across a huge portion of central and northern Florida. And again, look where else? Down toward the coast, right? Down toward Miami and the Keys, with that moderate risk of excessive rainfall here, right? Over the next 5 days. So this is again, it's one of those multifaceted hurricane threats that we're seeing, where yes, we have storm surge, yes, we have major hurricane force winds along the coast and inland, maybe not as far as Orlando, right? But if you're in Orlando, you're still going to have hurricane force winds. We're expecting this to maintain hurricane intensity throughout the entire state of Florida. Now, the size of the wind field is something else we're kind of keeping a close eye on. If it does kind of interact with some wind shear, even if it weakens from, say, a Category 4 down to a Category 3, right? So right now, it's a fairly small, compact storm. But if it has some shear interaction, that storm is likely going to spread out, and so that wind field would increase across Florida, which means more counties in Florida would be experiencing those sustained hurricane force winds moving directly over that area. And that is why we're seeing these evacuation orders coming out, and we'll likely continue to see more of those come out even for inland counties across Florida, right? So, quick recap for those of you that just may be joining us this evening on the live stream. Thank you for tuning in. Hurricane Milton right now It is a Category 1 hurricane with sustained winds of 85 miles per hour, right? We currently have a hurricane watch that is in effect for the northern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, as well as a tropical storm warning. There have been no advisories right now issued for the west coast of Florida or the Florida Keys or Southwest Florida or anything like that. I think those we'll start seeing potentially coming out here at the 11 o'clock advisory. If not, I definitely think by tomorrow morning we will really start seeing those watches and warnings going up, right? Quick recap. What is a hurricane watch? You may be watching this and be like, okay, I just moved to Florida here in the last 6 months. This is all new to me. A hurricane watch basically means that hurricane conditions are possible within that watch area, and this is typically issued 48 hours before the anticipated first occurrence of tropical storm force winds. And the reason is because once that happens, conditions make those outside preparations difficult or dangerous for people to do. So that's why really any preparations need to be done by the end of the day tomorrow, right? A tropical storm warning, which we'll start seeing some of those, that means tropical storm conditions are expected somewhere within the warning area within 36 hours, okay? So folks in the Florida Peninsula, Florida Keys, northwestern Bahamas definitely need to be keeping track of this system. Now, storm surge and hurricane watches will likely be issued for portions of Florida. If not tonight, definitely by early Monday is what the National Hurricane Center is thinking, right? So right now, Hurricane Milton, as of the 8 p.m. advisory, it has been located by Air Force and the hurricane hunters near 22.5 north and 93.4 west. It's moving east at 7 miles per hour, and that motion is expected to continue through this evening, okay? Now, we are going to see that motion shift from a due east to a east-northeastward motion by Tuesday and Wednesday. And Wednesday, we may see more of a northeast motion Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon as it crosses over the state, and then it will shift kind of more back, emerging off to a more east-northeastward motion and head over toward Bermuda, which we talked about earlier this evening. Sustained winds, again, 85 miles per hour. We're seeing gusts up over 100. We are expecting rapid intensification during the next 2 days, likely becoming a major hurricane at some point in time tomorrow afternoon, potentially. So that we are going to have to keep an eye on. Pressure right now, 981, and that is expected to drop. All right, at this time, if you're just joining, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. And I want to open it up to you guys that are here live on YouTube with me to go ahead and ask a question. If you have a question, let us know where you're watching from, first of all. So just go ahead and drop that in here. Let everyone know where you guys are from. Our Extreme Weather Videos headquarters, we are up here in Atlanta, Georgia. So we are completely safe up here. We're not expecting any sort of impacts from Milton at all here in North Georgia. So we already had some impacts from Helene, but not too much. So yeah, if you've got a question, feel free to just drop it right there in the chat. We'll be doing more of these updates each day. We'll probably do another update tomorrow afternoon and or evening, and then we'll do more on Tuesday. We'll see kind of how things go. We might have folks that will be doing some live streaming on the day on Wednesday down there in Florida. So we'll definitely keep you guys updated on that. Also, be sure if you're not following us on Facebook, check us out on there as well. We do a couple different live streams. We've got some team members over there that are doing some things as well. So, but this is kind of where we're at right now, monitoring Milton, seeing that intense these intense bursts of convection here right around the center. We're actually seeing one right now. If you look at this here, let me put this back on the infrared because you can kind of see it better here. So obviously these black and grays, those are those brighter cloud bursts. And you can see right here, looking just in those last few frames, we're really starting to see that another huge burst of convection right over the center of the storm, right there where that bright white is. So that is just showing us that we have an intensifying Hurricane Milton out there this evening, and that is likely going to continue here over the next 24 to 36 hours, with it likely reaching major hurricane status sometime by tomorrow afternoon. So that is the latest. I'm going to take a quick break here, leave you guys with the satellite view here. I'll be right back. I'm just going to grab a drink of water. Feel free to post any questions or comments in the chat. Get to know each other. We'll be right back here on the live stream. Thanks for watching. I'll be right back here. Good evening, everyone. We are back here live on YouTube. Great to have everyone here with us this evening. What we're looking at right now is the live infrared satellite imagery of a strengthening Hurricane Milton. Right before the break, we were talking about how we're seeing this burst of convection right around the center of the storm. And we're expecting that to really continue here over the next 24 to 36 hours. So definitely overnight into tomorrow morning, through the day tomorrow, we'll see. I think we could definitely see an eye wall actually form here overnight tonight. And we're actually, man, if I look at this really closely, I'm actually almost starting to really actually see that form just in the last... maybe the last frame or two. You can really almost see where the center of the storm is. Let me go to a little bit of a closer view. I don't want to pause this. Let me forward this right there. Yeah, so we can see here right where this white is. That's basically right there where the center of the storm is. It was right in here, kind of where you have that dip in the clouds. And obviously, let's go to, we won't be able to see visible, but we can see our come here. Yeah, not seeing it there on the infrared quite yet, but I really think within the next 12 to 24 hours for sure, we'll really start seeing that. Now, another thing to note, and I had mentioned this earlier, is the size of this. Look how relatively small this is right now. This is one of those small, compact hurricanes. And if it were to stay small and compact like we're seeing now moving across Florida, obviously the spread of the impacts there across Florida would be limited because of the size of the hurricane. But unfortunately, we are expecting to see the storm grow in diameter overall, which will mean that wind field and the impacts will also grow in diameter overall as well. So while it is small and relatively compact, and people are thinking, oh, this is just going to be impacting, say, a 50-mile stretch of coastline, that may not be the case. This could be impacting a much larger stretch of coastline than just 50 miles. All right, let's throw our track on. So again, I am kind of interested to see here how right now the track, they're definitely favoring the Euro on this because that is one of the few computer models that actually is bringing this south of Tampa. A lot of the models are bringing it north of Tampa, but they're still bringing it south, which I think obviously it's still too early to tell for sure. And we can see the little sliver of hurricane wind speeds here that we're seeing right now. Again, this is going to change as we go forward in time. This is also important to note. Look at the timing here of when the tropical storm winds arrive. So we could see tropical storm winds begin really arriving in this shaded area as far as Tuesday evening, right? Right along the west coast, Florida Keys, Tuesday 8 p.m. And then by Wednesday morning, Wednesday 8 a.m., really the entire state of Florida will be experiencing at least tropical storm force winds. That's the most likely time. The earliest time you can see here would be Tuesday 8 a.m. for maybe the Keys. And then by Tuesday 8 p.m., pretty much all of Florida except for the Jacksonville area will be early Wednesday morning, Wednesday 8 a.m. You can see that there as well. So talking about what we were talking about earlier, you can see here, this is the 60-hour forecast, and they have it at 140 miles per hour with wind gusts up to 165 miles per hour. So, and obviously we talked earlier, and I'll just show this if you're just joining. Let me show you this. Let's get to the right storm. Milton. This is what we were talking about earlier. Okay, so this is new data. Here we go. This is the 00Z data. This is brand new. Okay? Brand new data coming in here. We are now only seeing one model that actually brings this up to Category 5 intensity. That is the good news. This is really good news that what I'm seeing here. One model bringing it up to Category 5. We still have a good number, though, bringing it up to a Category 4 status, right? But the other thing is we have a lot of them keeping it Category 3 status through landfall. And then some of them here 72 hours. Category 3, Category 3, Category 2, Category 1. So we are starting to see, which I think this is fantastic news for Florida, what we were talking about earlier, where we're seeing that wind shear, we're seeing that dry air. The models are starting to pick up on that and really starting to pick up on, yes, this is going to have a period of rapid intensification, but it may not intensify quite as much as we initially thought. Still Category 4, definitely not out of the question. But at landfall, we're seeing a lot of these models bringing this here at that 72-hour mark at landfall. A lot of them bringing this Cat 3 or lower at landfall. A good number of them Category 2 at landfall. So we're really going to have to see how this new model data that's coming in here, the 00Z models that are coming in right now, these are just coming in, how that is going to affect the 11 p.m. advisory later this evening. And we'll bring that to you here when it comes out. We'll definitely post something about it. So that is actually, I think, the most encouraging thing that I've seen this evening is this chart right here where the model intensity, this, and also when we were going through all of those different forecast models, right? When we were going through, you know, our H-WRFs and H-MONs and really seeing here when we were stepping forward in time, intense, and then here seeing it weaken. So that is, I think, now some of the good news. I'm still going to be really curious to see the forecast cone, if we have any major changes with the forecast cone for the 11 p.m. advisory. But you can see here 9:59 millibar Thursday morning. I think the timing also on this might change a little bit in the 11 p.m. advisory. I wouldn't be surprised to see if rather than this being 1 p.m. Wednesday, this is more like 7 p.m. Wednesday. I think this might get pushed back a little bit more. As far as the time, we'll have to see how fast it gets shot off to the east-northeast here on Tuesday. So, but I think this intensity guidance chart really kind of makes my heart happy because this is really the last thing that Florida needs. This was the old one here. This was the 18Z. We saw multiple models bring you up to Category 5. And now, let me get back here to Milton and show you the 00Z. Now the 00Z here, you can see only one of these members bring this up to a Category 5 storm. Still plenty of them bring it up to Category 4. A lot of them, pretty much all of them, bring it up to a Category 3. So still nothing to sneeze at here in Florida. I think, you know, yes, there's good news that the likelihood of a Category 5 landfall along the Florida coast appears to have gone down, but the likelihood of a major hurricane landfall along the Florida west coast remains pretty much the same here. So, is anyone on the live stream right now? I'm just kind of curious. Is anyone in the live stream actually watching from Florida? Can you just drop a comment below if you are? In the live chat, you should just be able to type a message on there. always like to see where folks are watching from. Oh, let me get the, want to get the tracks for, let's see if they have 00Z tracks out yet. That's October 6th. They don't have the October 7th 00Z tracks. It's 18Z. So it'll be interesting, again, what they do with the forecast cone later this evening here. I personally think that they may shift it kind of back on the north side of Tampa, but that is yet to be determined. I think the reason they had initially shifted it back south was because we were seeing that east-southeastward movement earlier today. And then really here since about 5 o'clock is when now we've started, and really 8 o'clock advisory, the 8 o'clock advisory, it's already moved back to a due east pattern. I think they were still thinking it would be moving or drifting off to the east-southeast for a little bit longer than it has. Now I will say, with it not moving east-southeast anymore, moving due east, less any sort of land interaction here with the Yucatan Peninsula, which will, I think, allow it to definitely reach major hurricane status rather quickly this evening. Seeing a lot of flare-up of activity, obviously changing over for the evening here with this. So we will see what happens, but still as of the 8 p.m. advisory, Category 1 hurricane, 85 miles per hour, moving off to the east, 7 miles per hour. New model data, though, showing it weakening earlier as it approaches the Florida West Coast, which I think is the good news that we all really need. We'll have to see what happens tomorrow as we go into tomorrow and we see that rapid intensification cycle kind of take place. So if you've got any questions, though, folks, you can always reach out to us on Facebook. You can go to facebook.com/extremeweathervideos and shoot us a message on there. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. But I think that's going to be it for now. I'm going to wrap this one up, and we'll catch you guys on the next live stream. Stay safe out there, and thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you guys definitely at some point in time tomorrow with more updates on Hurricane Milton. Thanks for watching.